This is not a
Sorry about that.
sales, that's okay. Not a sales pitch. What we wanted to do is bring a little information to you and show you a little bit about what's happening, not just in the natural gas world, but in the energy world as a whole. It's been pretty exciting if you're into that type of thing. There's a exponential growth on the horizon. And what we'd like to do is provide you with the information to be well prepared for that, to help you more aptly and streamline your P&Ls and run your business. So I assume everyone on here has heard a little bit about AI. Yes? Yeah, it's everywhere. You can't escape. So that's going to be a big topic of conversation this morning. Before that, I'd like to just give you a little bit of background about Gas South, sort of by the numbers as the slide says. We are a subsidiary of Cobb EMC, which is a energy municipal company based out of Atlanta, Georgia, one of the largest in the nation. Last year, our annual revenue was $2 billion. We have 425 employees, mostly based out of Gainesville, Florida, where Samantha and I work. And then our home office is in Atlanta, and we have satellite employees around the country. We were number 15 in the AJC, which is the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's best places to work for mid-sized companies. We've invested $100 million over the last couple of years into solar projects. So we aren't just a gas company. We don't sell solar, but we do want to help add power to the grid, because as you'll see in this presentation, we're going to be on the precipice of massive demand growth, and that affects everybody, not even just if you're a business owner, but also if you're a homeowner or if you live someplace, because the electrical costs are also starting to increase, and we'll talk about that. We are
Sorry,
the
Topher. Are you sharing the screen? We can't see. I mean, at
oh,
least I can't see if you're sharing the presentation.
let's try this again.
Yeah,
How about now? Okay.
it's loading now. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Oh, well, then we'll go back one just so you can see our topic of the day. It's fueling the future, natural gas as the world's foundational energy source. And going back to, thank you very much, Paloma, for letting me know that. Again, owned by Cobb EMC. We have 425 employees. We are the number 15 best places to work for a mid-sized company based on the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. We have donated $100 million over the last couple of years to solar projects, and we are the number one retail market share in both Georgia and Florida. And most importantly on this page is the 5% of our profits that go back every year to support children in need. We donated $5.8 million in 2025, and it looks as if we'll be doing just a little over 6 million for 2026. On that note, if anybody has any children's charities that they would like to bring to our attention, please do so. Feel free to email me directly. We do support the Dive into Reading program that's run by John and Amanda Horn out of Sarasota for Oyster Rocks. So those are a little of those. As far as our footprint, we're in 16 different states. We have 500,000 customers. We move 300 billion cubic feet of natural gas a year, and no one knows what that means, but I'll tell you, it's a lot. We're in the top 20 of the nation as far as gas traders go, and we work across 30 different pipelines and hubs to transport that natural gas. Georgia is our home state. It's where we were founded, and we'll hit our 20th anniversary coming up this year. We do retail, choice, and residential, and everywhere else, just like Florida, you have a choice of where you purchase your natural gas from. I'm not sure if everybody is involved with the program, but it exists to keep you from being in the monopoly rates of the utilities. As an utility in Florida, they are not allowed to profit from the sale of natural gas, so they buy it as needed at bulk. So there are two utilities right now that are paying around $1 for each therm of gas. So if you're either an FCG or FPU, please don't hesitate to reach out and see if we could put you, well, not see, to definitely put you in a better position to control that P&L. And why does that matter? Well, as we go through this presentation, you'll see that the expectations of the market are pretty ambitious. We're going to see a 40% growth over the next 10 years in natural gas use as we start exporting more and more data centers come online. Just one more shameless plug about our company is that our purpose is to be a fuel for good by caring for our customers and employees and elevating our industry and community. Mission is to be the energy provider of choice by delivering exceptional value, service, and simplicity. Our values are to do what's right, own it, serve others, be better together, and keep growing. And as we move through, navigating your supply and demand has become a very careful balancing act. We're adapting to a new reality. There's three components of natural gas. One is going to be your supply portion. The second is going to be your demand. And the third is your infrastructure. And they are not all working at the same pace as growth. And we'll see that here. It's, as I said, factor of production, storage, and import versus export levels. So if you're looking at it historically, they say that we have around 100 years of natural gas, and that was in 2004. You can see that we had around 1,000 trillion feet, which I don't know how to quantify that number for anybody, but it's large caverns and pipeline storage facilities that are filled with gas. That if we were to stay at our same usage patterns, we would have roughly 100 years of gas. What has changed over the last 10 years are the developments of shale and onshore production. If you were to look at Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, just those three states, if they were their own country, they would be the third largest gas producer in the world. So we have quite a bit of supply, and as we see, that's going to start coming into effect. A lot of it has been dependent on drilling practices as they have evolved. Drilling practices have become more efficient, and we see that based on this chart, we now have roughly 4 times what we did 20 years ago. So if we weren't changing the way we were using the gas, we would have plenty. However, as you'll see, we're starting to shift the patterns of our natural gas usage. And also, if anyone has any questions as we go through these, please feel free to chime in. This can be as interactive as we would like it to be. So production costs will increase to meet rising demand while proven reserves get more depleted. Those goalposts that we're talking about, as far as how much gas we have, are constantly changing. Natural growth has grown, it's going to keep growing. But where is that growth happening? And this next chart, here you go. Just from the last 10 years, we've seen a 4% growth. So nothing astronomical, but the projections now, we are currently using around 100 billion cubic feet of gas a day as a country. And that's going through exports, it's going through our AI data centers, it's going through your breweries as you're running your boilers. Everybody that's using natural gas, it's about 100 billion cubic feet today. But the largest factors of increase are going to be data centers that support AI and the LNG exports. And this is just through 2024. So we've actually seen a little bit, we couldn't get a chart on it, but we've seen further growth in 25. That's driving a lot of these predictions. Just this week, actually, gas jumped 20% between Friday and today, last Friday to today. We've seen a 20% jump. So those projections, this is from Kinder Morgan. They are a very large pipeline operator. As you can see right now, they're saying this is also through WoodMac, which is another pipeline operator. They differ a little bit in their forecasts, and everybody's will. But just between now and, if you can believe it, 2030 is basically 4 years away. So between now and then, we see a 28 billion cubic feet increase. If we're using 110, so you're looking at roughly a 7% increase in gas consumption over the next 4 years alone. We're talking about that AI. With the rise of AI, data centers have become the leading source of electrical load growth. Currently, 24, they accounted for roughly 2%, and this is from Chevron. They accounted for 2% of all electrical generation. They're expecting a 350% rise in the next 4 years, to where data centers are going to be consuming 9% or more of total electricity within the country. Right now, it's about 20 gigawatts. So that's more than you need to get back to the future by quite a bit. And we're anticipating in the next 10 years that we're going to be using 80 gigawatts of electricity for these data centers. And why are the data centers taking so much? Well, if you were to do a normal Google search, we'll use that as our baseline. You just go and ask Google a question. You're going to use 1 time the electricity, 1x, right? If you're using Chat GPT, and we all do, I know it, is you're using 10 times the amount of energy for each one of those Chat GPT searches. If you're into making art with AI, you're using 50 times the electrical charge. And where it really gets crazy, I'm sure everyone has seen a video of a shark in roller skates eating a taco or something along those lines. Then that's what is being generated through Sora AI. And that uses 10,000 times the electricity of a normal Google search. So anytime you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever your social media platform of choice would be, and you see an AI generated video, know that it took 10,000 times the electricity to create that video. And if you step back at a macro level and consider how many of those are being done on a daily basis, the growth is almost incomprehensible. They're storing data now in zettabytes at these data centers. And to give you, everyone has a phone, and most of them have a terabyte of storage. A terabyte is, bear with me while I say this, 0.00000001 of a zettabyte.
Topher,
Sounds like
I don't know if you mind me asking, but are you confident that it's sustainable? Because as I think about it, I think of AI still being not, I know it's becoming increasingly mainstream, but is the thought that it's sustainable for energy to keep up with this demand?
it's sustainable for it to keep up with demand. And that's a great question, Brian. But the question is, where is it going to come from? Because you can't just take this data center and plug it into our existing grid. We don't have the infrastructure, and we're going to get to that. We don't have the infrastructure to support that growth. What I will tell you is that every conference that I attend and the meetings that we're having weekly at our offices to support this data center growth, um, are mostly companies that are buying land parcels near a natural gas pipeline. And instead of working just through the utility, they're actually building their own meter station behind the gate, is what it's called. So we're tapping into an existing pipeline and then generating the electricity on site. So there are 400 data centers right now under construction. Georgia is one of the largest states. Virginia, Georgia, and Texas are the 3 largest states for data center construction right now. And what does that mean for us in Florida? Well, it means a good bit, because a lot of our gas can flow through the pipelines that come down the Transco coast, or Transco pipeline, which is along the Atlantic coast. So if you're in Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Daytona, areas you're getting gas that's flowing through those pipelines. And what's happening is the capacity of those pipelines is slowly diminishing. It's becoming less available, therefore more expensive. So we have not just the cost of the gas itself, but the cost of shipping the gas, and the capacity charges are increasing. So if you're in Tampa, anything really south of Tampa, you're off the FZT Zone 3 trail, it goes under the Gulf, and it pipes into TECO in Tampa and then is distributed to the other LDCs through different compressor stations. But I don't think there's any stopping it. BlackRock, Meta, all of the largest Fortune 50 companies are heavily invested in this AI data and infrastructure. And I think that you want to be ahead of the curve and not behind the curve. And so as this starts playing out and becoming more increasingly prevalent, over the next 2 years, you'll start to see drastic increases in rates around the country, not just for your natural gas, but also for electricity. But that's a great question.
There's also a question in the chat asking if there's a plan to increase infrastructure for gas.
Sure is, and
Marcus
I think we have about 5 more slides, and we'll jump into that. So, currently, natural gas is the leading source of added electrical generation. Natural gas accounts for 40 to 42% of all electrical generation right now, but 36% of coal plants are set to retire by 2032. So the reliance on gas is going to increase even further. So we're looking at more in the mid 50s by the time it's all said and done of the amount of electrical generation that will be done by natural gas in the next 10 years. There was a big push for a little while that, oh, natural gas is going to be phased out. Now, because of this new technology, it's impossible to phase out because there's no other way. Solar and wind don't have the capacity or reliability because these AI data centers, I don't know if anyone's ever seen one in person, but think of a Home Depot sized building. And instead of rows of tools, it's literally more narrow rows of servers, and they're about 2 to 3 stories high, and they have to be cooled 24/7 because these computations and these chips get so hot that they have to be not quite space level cold, but pretty close. So you have to wear special suits to go in and work on them. So we'll see that this number right now, wind and solar make up less than 20% of the load, and also a number of those greener projects have been scrapped in the last 6 months. So that natural gas reliance is looking to increase. As of this year, we're using 0.4 billion cubic feet a day, or 0.8 actually, because we're in 2025. And that expectation is that we'll be using 3.3 billion cubic feet a day to fire the generation for the data centers. So again, a pretty substantial growth rate. And these are the projects that are already greenlit. Exports are, we are now the world's largest exporter of natural gas. We have surpassed Qatar and Australia, and they expect this to rise 60% over the next 5 years. And that's due to geopolitical tensions. The Russian gas deals that supply most of the EU currently are set to expire on January 1st of 2027. And that gas is still going to need to be inserted into the systems of particularly Britain, Germany, anything on the western side of Europe will be more heavily reliant on US LNG exports. And just to give you an idea, for that, you can see that we were relatively flat. LNG started gaining steam around 2011 as an idea and has steadily increased. It took about 5 years for the infrastructure to be built. So it became kind of an idea. We did a little bit of it. And then with the discovery of the Marcus Shale platforms and those fields that we were talking about up in Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, we've increased that supply drastically, which also allowed us to increase our export activity. You can see there was a dip in 2020, but since then, it has been off to the races, and it's increased 18% just this year. This one we can probably run by, but we're exporting to 45 different countries, requiring that continued growth. These are the names on the right of all of the LNG stations that are around the country. 3 of them are still set to come online by the end of, or the middle of 26. And then we will have 12 currently exporting all around the globe. And then some of these projects think that they will actually be shipping 30 billion cubic feet by 2030. So some of these estimates are actually considered conservative when you're looking at the market growth potential. We're adapting to that new reality, right? We have abundant supplies, reserves have low cost of production, making it the largest producer of this foundational fuel for the US. That demand, the forecast predicted, is unprecedented growth, largely from the power plants and the AI. But here's where the rub is. Pipelines and storage have not been sufficiently expanded. So we're starting to create those bottlenecks. So whomever had that great question in the chat, yes, this is exactly where we are headed and wanted to discuss with you. We're likely to see upward pressure on natural gas prices due to the increased volatility. As those pipelines become less available, because you think of pipelines as toll roads, right? Sometimes you want to be in the express lane, you're willing to pay for it. These pipelines are the same way. Sometimes they're overly congested and you have to pay a premium to make sure that you have gas delivered on schedule. So efficient infrastructure is the bridge from supply, which is abundant, to demand, which is accelerating, but it's facing the, again, unprecedented challenges. So the infrastructure growth has not kept pace with demand. The pipelines, the storage and production have insufficient capacity, and utilization often exceeds licensed capacity, which means that we are trying to draw out more natural gas than is actually available at the time. Since 2013, demand for gas has grown by 49%, while the infrastructure to deliver gas has only increased by 20%. 26%, and storage delivery capacity, which is again that actual ability to store and deliver it on time, has only gone up 2%. So we're starting to come into that situation, which we will see in 26. Here we go. We're looking at this underground storage deliverability. This light blue line here represents our maximum daily deliverability, and then our peak demand, as you can see, far outreaches our delivery fees. So this is where a lot of our industrial customers are seeing the costs hit them now, is that they have to pay premiums to have a guaranteed supply on time and on demand. Some of our customers, they have alternative fuel sources. Maybe they can run shifts at night, or they can switch over to oil, but that's oftentimes expensive, and they're not always going to be able to do that. So they're starting to buy up 5-year swaths of gas now. So what's the infrastructure headwinds? Most of these new capacity projects are located in the Gulf Coast to serve LNG demand, while the interstate pipeline projects remain a challenge. It's not the easiest thing to do to get two states to agree on where these pipelines are going to be placed. There are major constraints on the pipeline corridor, wherever I was talking about that Transco pipeline that runs along the eastern seaboard. It's constrained from both sides. So we have to ship gas up to the northeast when it's cold, and then a lot of manufacturing and hospitality is down in the south. So they don't have a good system currently and enough suppressor or compressor stations to ship that to both sides. To regulatory and legal hurdles can be easing some, but it's still creating a challenge for system expansions. Projects are taking longer to be approved. It may exacerbate delivery on aging infrastructure, making it harder to build and get new projects through development. The new pipeline projects are significantly more expensive, just as if all of your costs have gone up as operating your businesses. The same is true with these pipelines. In fact, it's 9 times more expensive to lay 1 mile of pipe as it was 3 years ago. So we're in the rock and the hard place right now. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or gloom and doom, but I want everybody to be aware of the situation that we are heading into as the infrastructure doesn't keep pace with demand. What are the market implications? So this is a screenshot of electrical price increases. Again, we're talking about natural gas being the bedrock of electrical generation. If you're living in the Dominion area, which is Ohio, Pennsylvania Valley, you're expecting in the next 10 years to see a $98 increase annually, $150 by 2044. These are increases, but these are based on residential. So if you use a lot of electricity at your business, you can extrapolate that these costs are probably going to be 5 to 6 times, maybe even larger, depending on your size, of an increase just in your electrical costs. Predictions, higher energy prices. Those are the predictions across the market. Prices increasingly becoming only a mechanism that balances inventories. It's creating more volatile gas prices. So again, the production facilities, if gas is low, they're not inclined to put in the capital to build that infrastructure. As prices raise, they're going to start building more infrastructure. The problem is, ordinarily, you would think that that would decrease costs. However, with the increased usage, it's really just keeping up. But they have to have that higher baseline cost to substantiate the investment of capital to create these new pipelines. So nearly all of these basis points are part of the trading factors when you're distributing the gas. Let's see here. again, incremental molecules, we have the molecules. We just don't have the transmission facilities to get them to all of the locations needed yet. These are OFO days. I will leave this one for you. An OFO day is an occupational forced outage. So that means that when it gets too cold, and residences are always going to take top priority in markets like Georgia, wherever it's commonly used for heating loads. And these OFO days are when you're required to either shut off or pay a much higher premium for that gas. So if they have the option to switch to an alternative fuel source, they might do that, but more often than not, they're paying a premium unless they have gone ahead and stacked that gas. Is all of that making sense so far? I know it's really, really nerdy stuff. We could talk about it as long as you like, but the overall opinion and prevailing thoughts are that we will see these increased prices, and they've already started this week. If we have a winter that was similar to last year, which was a pretty cold winter, we could be in the $5 to $6 range, or 50 to 60 cent baseline starting in January and February. So again, we have abundant reserves, a low cost of production. It's making us the largest fuel producer of the foundational fuel. The demands are rising steadily, but our biggest problem is that these pipelines and storages have not been sufficiently expanded, and that's what's creating the bottleneck. So we're likely to see that upward pressure on natural gases with the increased volatility. And so to successfully balance these industry headwinds, you need a couple of things, right? You need flexibility, timing, speed. I'm experimenting with animations, so thank you for your patience, and adaptability. And so that's one of the things that, to protect your bottom line, your energy partner should be able to do a couple of these things. You want to create a thoughtful and procurement risk and management strategy. You want to provide longer term contracts with price protection. Scale and diversify your offerings, including your locations. Leverage internal trading capabilities and supply desk. And you have a strong financial backing to get through the downtimes. And those are all things that fortunately Gas South does have. So that's the end. I kept it we're pretty close to right on time. And I'm happy to answer any questions or review anything else. We can go back if there are any thoughts on the matter.
With the longer term contracts, is that you were talking about you currently have a pretty volatile market. So how does that work with Gas South to sign a longer term contract? Does that mean the price is locked in?
Correct.
Knowing that costs could go all over the place?
Costs could go all over the place, but the prevailing thought is it's based on all of these factors, based on our LNG exports, based on the increase of gas being used for AI on a regular basis, based on just the idea of onshoring that's supposed to take place over the next couple of years. If more of these factories are moved onto the continental US, the usage is going to increase. So the room to move down is pretty slim. There's not a big delta right now between production cost and where we're at. So what we're able to do is take today's rates before you see all of these increases every month of gas. So if you were to take a 5-year contract, each month has a settlement price. What we're able to do is take all of the future pricing, average it together, and you get your weight COG, which is your weighted average cost of gas. And from there, we can lock that in for you. We can also lock in your capacity, which is probably, especially in Florida, the most volatile portion of your natural gas bill. Depending on your rate structure and whom you're with, I've seen it go as much from 7 cents all the way up to, what was it, Sam, 21 cents of capacity, or 17?
Yes, it was 21 cents or whatever.
Yeah. So it in 1 month, I think it was July of this year, it moved from 7 cents was the cost of your baseline transportation charge to 21 cents per therm. And that's not even counting your cost of gas or your delivery fees. That's just your capacity, which is the hardest portion and the most scarce of these resources. So my recommendation is certainly to lock in your capacity charges sooner rather than later. That allows you to You can basically, if you're using a consistent amount of gas, you'll have a P&L that is pretty flat based on your usage for up to the next 5 years. And we're also able to extend those contracts. So if we see that the market continues to move and you're 3 years in, we can extend that contract out. Now, let's take the converse approach. As you were asking about the volatility of prices. Say everyone's wrong. BlackRock, Citadel, all of the hedge funds, I was going to say something that they can't do what they say they're going to do, right? They are incorrect and gas prices plummet. Well, then we have the option to do a blend and extend. So we would do a reevaluation of that contract, taking the current market rates and averaging those into where your contract stands now. So it's a pretty safe solution. And against the market, 18 out of the last 20 years, a fixed rate has beat the market based on seasonal volatility, based on usage patterns, based on geopolitical tensions. You're ahead more often than you're not. And when you're not, it's a couple of cents. And if you were to extrapolate that out to your cost, if you used, I was a history major with a minor in mass communication, so I have to take off my shoes to count, but give me 1 second. If you were, say you're using 10,000 therms of gas and the price changed by 2 cents, you're looking at $200 difference in the year.
Is there a minimum consumption rate for our members to qualify for signing?
No, none whatsoever. The nice thing about us is we are not sizists when it comes to usage. You could be a very small mom and pop shop down in Hialeah and you're just making coffee, or you can be one of these larger industrial customers. We can set it up however best suits you. But there are no consumption minimals to be a portion.
And I think you and I have talked about this before, Topher, but so I'm up in the Panhandle, and so we have Okaloosa Gas. So
yeah,
accustomed to a lot of times utilities are designed with sort of like a localized monopoly. But as far as I understand, natural gas through most of the state is open that you can work with whoever you want.
Yes, sir. You are absolutely correct. We actually live in a municipality as well, GRU, and we have the highest electrical rates in the state in Gainesville, Florida. So if you are not in a municipality, you're in a great position. You're with FPU, TECO, FCG. Who am I leaving out? Sam?
Who did you say?
FPU, TECO, FCG, CFG.
Yes, and then Lake Apopka.
Lake Apopka, Lang. Lang is the only one that has requirements on usage, actually. So that's a dovetail into your question. Yeah, and we have our own regulatory team, and we are filing to see if there are opportunities to open up the municipalities. But oftentimes, as is the case in Gainesville, the municipality is a primary coffer for the rest of government. So it's a long road to hoe for sure to make those changes. But if you are in an open Florida Choice program and you're not partaking, it's definitely something I would highly encourage you to take a look at. I know gas is not your highest priority. You guys are looking at cost of water and probably a lot of other things. Hops are probably more important than your gas, but you need the gas to run the boilers and in some cases kitchens. So now is a great opportunity to seize control of those costs.
When you're talking about the increase in costs for energy, this is across like all sources, correct? So like to give you an example, like very rare, but we have an electric brew house for a rather large size. You're saying that if you're not super incredibly reliant on natural gas, you still can expect pretty big increases coming your way.
Yes, just because the grid is interconnected and this drastic consumption increase is going to have ripple effects. As I said, 40% currently of electricity is generated from natural gas. So even if you're all electric, it's coming from natural gas at the source. And 4 out of 10 times. Now, depending on where you're located, is it a Florida location? The brew
Yes,
house that's-
yeah, we're in Okaloosa County, Niceville.
yeah. Oh, lovely area. Go Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
you'll see increases across the board over the next few years.
Okay. If somebody who is in an open market where they can work with whoever they want for gas, how does that work if they were to switch from one company to another?
Well, we would do an analysis for you because one thing we never want to do is put you in a lesser position. We can do an analysis of what your current structure is set. Most people are on variable rates with contracted adders, so that shifts with the market. Personally, as I said, I think fixed rates are they're market insurance. That's what you're really doing. You're buying market insurance and securing your cost. It's as if you run a large kitchen and you were able to lock in your price of eggs a year ago, you were very happy. This is very similar to that.
Gotcha.
And what they would have to do is that they would reach out to Samantha, who is right here on the call, and she's the real brains behind this operation and the woman who knows what's happening. So if you reach out to her, she would be happy to put that analysis together for you, show you what you're currently doing, where we can make some suggestions for change, and present the options. And again, we can do everything from 12 months out to 60 months. I would highly encourage people to look at the 60 months. Right now, the most expensive product we could offer you would be a 12 or a 24 month because those strips are the highest because these expectations are factored in. Since the year 3 through 5 is a little more opaque, it's not exactly as crystal clear, then you're capturing those lower costs now. So those prices are right now lower. What are they going to do? They're probably going to increase. So you have the opportunity to purchase before those increases take place. And I'm open to any questions from anyone other than Brian. No, I'm just and if not, I thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you. If there's anything we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out. We do very much enjoy being partnered with the Brewers Guild and FRLA, and we want to continue that partnership and be a value add to you. I mean, you don't have a lot of time. You're wearing a lot of hats. You don't have time to look at all of these. So we do all of the heavy lifting for you. Really, all we need are a couple pieces of information, and the rest of it we can handle through email and put that together for you. Thanks, Marcos. You're welcome. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Topher. This was very informative.
Wonderful. Well, I hope you all have a great day and look forward to seeing you soon. And if we can be of any help, please reach out.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Topher.
Cheers.
Everyone.
Bye, Nicole.
Thank you, Topher. Great presentation, sir.
Appreciate it.